Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of First Man. This is Luna, if you haven't met her yet. Luna, what do you think about being on camera? I don't think she really cares. She was looking at me like, why are you asking that question? Okay. Maybe we could use a little bit more light in here. There, that'll help a lot. It really changes the space, doesn't it? It's just a simple act of adding a light to something. We got this dynamicism between this exchange between the warmth in the room and the cold. I'm gonna adjust this here. Now, yeah, Luna is about the same size as I think as Laika, right? Which was the first dog in space. So you know, you don't want to go to space, do you? No, she doesn't really. um, we're gonna start off with, did I like this movie? Yes. I think it's very, very factual. I think it doesn't hold any false pretenses. I also think that there's a couple of gay jokes in this too, which, I can laugh at them, but I don't know, man. Maybe that wasn't intentional. Kind of like making the entire space program into a giant gynecological joke of physical anatomy. I don't know, man. The thing is with films, is especially when we consider the history of propaganda, often have a multitude of meanings, especially something at the level of this production, in which movies being used as propaganda, again, because the format of a movie was the predominant means of communication to a mass audience, um, in a ways so that expanded in ways that in which books, newspapers, photographs, and even visual art, which of course is my wheelhouse, having to do with oil painting and so forth, communicate things in ways in which those mediums could not. And to me, that solidifies the place of cinema uh, in in our collective consciousness. I don't think it's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. And when I think about this again, it's just three space chips, okay? Three space chips in a tiny cloistered little thing, right? With just enough room to go skiing. Anyways, I'm probably gonna make a few off-color jokes in this, just because I can and because it's there. Some inappropriate humor. Um, fudge, fudge packers. Yeah, reckon fudge packers. Anyways, so the long and the short of it is that I can see the inspiration and the references, of course, to other aerospace oriented films, including the perennial favorite of Top Gun, and of even the right stuff, right? The right stuff. And that's it. I hate. When I'm improvising, I don't want to include those the pauses, those moments. I consciously try to remove those from my speech as we're doing this, as I'm recording, because I don't have a script for any of this, I just go off and fly by the seat of my pants, because, well, that's what the pioneers did. First Lieutenant, let's look at that for a second. Again, SpaceX was involved in this. There is a reference to space exploration. Filmmakers gratefully thank. Okay, so this had a direct relationship. This production had a direct relationship with the Secretary of the Air Force Public Affairs and Entertainment Liaison Office, 412th Test Wing Public Affairs and Air Force Test Center, Edwards Air Force Base, and the HQ of the USAF Material Command. Then this also includes the NASA HQ people, Kennedy Space Center, Johnson Space Center, Marshall Space Flight Center, Armstrong Flight Research Center, Kennedy Space Center, U.S. Space and Rocket Center, OFS, Brightwave Solutions Incorporated, Georgia Power Company, United Launch Alliance, SpaceX, Replica Aircraft Parts, Apollo Flight Journal, Apollo Lunar Surface Journal, and the Talos suit created by Whitaker Mayhem. And then it goes on to credit the relatives of the space crew. So Rick Armstrong, Mark Armstrong, Janet Sheeran Armstrong, George Abbey, Buzz Aldrin, Carol Armstrong, June Armstrong Hoffman, Bonnie Bayer, Johnny Bostwick, Chris Calley, Mike Collins, Charlie Duke, Ed Fedel, John Fongheiser, Ernie Gates, and Dennis Gilliam. So, to say that this was factual, I think that's an understatement. Of course, there's a lot of things that are lost in translation, between the Eggmen and the Grunts, okay? That always happens. It's just part of humanity, and this is why we create these procedures and these protocols to try and correct the mistakes of the past. And of course, the greatest failing in any system, you're looking at it. Any complex system. This is what the movie Snowden is about. Is that it's not about technology. It's about the person wielding it and how they choose to utilize it. Because as the old aphorism goes, like that little bit of wisdom, 1,000 monkeys at 1,000 typewriters can write the works of Shakespeare if you give them enough time. It's an eventuality, right? It's an eventuality. And I think I was thinking about this. There's three avenues, right, of exploration that we have left. Because most of the hard work has been done already by this point in 2026. Like we're getting to the point where there's going to be such a thing as vintage spacecraft, and people will be doing races as it is in the Expanse. They'll be taking pleasure craft, okay, into the atmosphere and having races between Earth and the moon to see how fast we can get there, right? Beyond that, it just blows my mind to think about that in the near future. And when I say the near future, I mean generously within the next 100 years. The next, so what was I saying? Before I went on that tangent. Okay, so the three realms, right, that we don't have much information about are psychospace, so inside our heads, underwater, and in the subterranean cave systems, and of course outer space. So that's like inner space, underspace, and outer space. Whatever. We'll come up with the language eventually, or if someone hasn't done it already. Um, now the doubters, right? You look at the that one scene where it's like there's the hippies at the far side of of the lake, or the fjord, the wetland area there in Florida, across from Cape Canaveral, and they're under some trees, and this black fella's going on about how there's whitey on the moon. And there's always been people that said something couldn't be accomplished, or there was no point in it, or that the money was better spent in feeding the homeless and the greedy, people with that lack impulse control, or are just flat out shysters and grifters. Because poverty is often used as a crutch for some people, but I don't remember Thomas Sowell's entire life story, but if he did grow up in poverty and he became this really intelligent and educated guy, by the sheer force of his own will, and by his own example, that people were attracted to him and wanted to support him in that. Because what makes the ship go up? Funding makes the ship go up. Okay, I'd be lying if I said that if I wasn't a young kid looking up at the sky, wondering what else was out there, right? Or how much I wanted to get away from the people that happened to have been torturing me, for the childhood reasons that a child has, for the mere fact that my name is Noel or Noel. But I forgive that person. They were also a kid. I would like to think that I've gotten over such a thing, but in the mind, there's always that person in your mind's eye just yelling nigger at you. Like that scene in Devotion where he's looking in the mirror, and he's saying, you dumbass fucking nigger. You's a nigger. You'll never be anything. And obviously he proved them wrong. He proved them wrong. But we seem to be in this era where large accomplishments are overshadowed by the micro accomplishment of opening up a TikTok account and dancing around in a cat costume. I've been inundated lately with goth girls, goth mommies, with fangs, and I'm just like, I'm already burnt out by that point in time. I consume a fair bit of social media as part of my preoccupation. I can't say it's all fun and games, I gotta tell you. So in this game, this flesh simulator, in which there wasn't anybody else to do it, right? These were the best people for the job, and there's two kinds of people that you can't trust to survive such an ordeal: those who are ruled by their emotions, and those who don't have any. Or those that don't understand emotion. So I've said this a couple of times in my journeys, on the road, and particularly to two female bartenders, one in Sault Ste. Marie by the Bush pilot, or see the Bush Plane Museum, and then to another young lady at a bar in Kelowna. And I said to them, "Do you know what the difference is between a psychopath and someone with autism?" And they're like, "No, not really." I said, "Not very much to the untrained eye." And that's a big mistake. That's when people, again, when you put good information in the hands of stupid people, they're gonna think that they've discovered the Holy Grail. It's like the first time someone dug up some pyrite and took it to the weighing station, and the guy laughs at them. He's like, "You brought me fool's gold, you fucking idiot. Go back to where you came from and give me give me something of real substance." Anyways, when space travel becomes democratized, right, when it becomes an open avenue for everyone, it'll be a very special moment for our entire species. Even the people that, objectively and passionately worship an effigy or a statue in the place of or an idol in the place of something that's actually divine. And I'm sure you can think of someone in your head right now, even within your immediate vicinity, that holds something higher, right? Higher than creation itself. And to those people, I pity you. I really do. I hope one day you come back down to earth. I really do. Because once you get to the top of the mountain, you're not supposed to stay there. It's a very exposed place, right? It's very dangerous. You're gonna die of nitrogen poisoning, right? You'll get the bends, and then you're fucking dead, right? Well, lack of oxygen, and all of a sudden pressure, it's over. That's a real reality check, right? Again, there's the one scene of Apollo 1. If you're involved in aviation or you're a fan, then you very well know this story. So I'm not gonna tread the same waters. But in the same guise, I think about the internet and how it was intended to democratize access to information, in that an idol worshiper in some godforsaken place in this world could go online and get a bit of research and learn something, such as boiling their water so that there's no parasites in it, let alone learning the concept of what a parasite is. Now, dogs, we know dogs get parasites, right? All mammals, quite frankly, are and even fish or other cold-blooded animals can have parasites in them, and often we do. And when I talk about the mental space, or like the mind of a person that you would put into such a scenario, astronauts have a lot in common with prisoners, right? And I think that's the reasoning as to why England decided to put all of those ex-cons on some ships and send them off to the other side of the planet where everything wants to kill them. I mean, how is Australia any different than outer space? It might as well be, a completely different planet. All right. But in reality, what the internet did for us was give us bots, 16-year-old girls, and a litany of a never-ending stream of grifters. That's how I feel about the internet in this day and age, as it is in 2026, because it was like, being viral was like winning the lottery to get on that candle and launch yourself to the moon, right? The same concept existed behind cryptocurrency. The intention of cryptocurrency was to democratize and decentralize the financial system, because having that much power in the hands of so few people predictably leads to disaster, right? When you have too many people with their fingers in the pie, or too many subordinates involved in an operation, and then they'll fight each other for that last scrap, the last scrap of emotion, or of resources, or of themselves, and they'll take pieces out of other people just to do that, right? That what I'm talking about here is, of course, the situation in which a drowning person will clamor onto the person attempting to rescue them, and push them under in some instances. Now, I haven't heard any recent stories of lifeguards drowning, thankfully, but it's not to say that it hasn't happened in the past. That someone who sought out to be a guardian over someone else ate the grenade for a legion of other people. And I'm not saying that that directly applies to this movie or this review, but it's just an interesting thing to think about as I'm processing what I've just watched. And of course, it's best to strike while the iron is hot, lest the temperament of the material become the reason as to why something breaks. Now, I of course, I would like to think that I have the strength of steel, with that being my surname, and of course my shared heritage with many other people that happen to be my extended family. And the reality of our existence is that humanity is not created equal. Right? God did not create man to be equals, but Samuel Colt definitely did. And that's the same mentality, right? Of giving access to everyone to have the internet. What happens is that we have a legion of people who have their own motivations and their own attachments to a time and place, which would become or is their formative years. And someone figured out along the way that, okay, just like the previous manifestations or permutations of communication through technology, that they could mold young minds. That's how fucked up people are. Luna's looking at me like, what was that? And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, baby. It's okay. It's okay. And someone figured out that we could also use this to imprison people. That you could exist within a digital prison. You gotta trim your dew claw here a little bit more. Yeah. That last scene, you know, where Neil's in quarantine. It's okay. You want more pets? Yeah. Okay. Shh. It's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And Neil's standing there with a pane of glass between him and his wife. And I know what that feels like. I do. And so does every other prisoner that's ever been held and had a visitation or had a visitation while they were there. It's okay. It's okay. I know. I know. So why prisoners? Well, it's not like they have anything else to do. You know? Uh, why prisoners? Because of extended periods of time in austere conditions, periods of isolation, and being in confined quarters with people that you don't necessarily like for extended periods. You know, those people that were in that capsule or that pod for like a year, um, they got out when I was inside, and I thought that was really funny. You know, I saw some comedy in that. You know, I bet they were so happy to get out of there that the first thing that they did was go skiing. All right. Well, Luna, what do you think? What did you think of the first man? No comment, apparently. Ooh, that hurts. Anyways, I assure you this is not a ruse. What people will do to bring other people down, and the lengths that they'll go to the moon and back just to destroy your life. They'll go to the moon and back just to maintain their peace of mind. It's really amazing what humanity will do to save face when the mirror is shown to the Medusa. May we all find our way out of this maze that has been created, this tangled web that we have woven. Because the only way out of this is through. And unfortunately, it will require some ripping and it will require some tearing. And I'm not talking about forcing oneself onto another person. What I'm talking about is that it's going to have to rip up some agreements and tear some people down, as it was done to other notable people that we used to admire and that we held in such high regard because of their accomplishments and the abilities and the skills that they acquired over the years versus who they're having sex with and what's between their legs. Someone out there thought that transgenderism was the next frontier. And I think that was really naive. I do. I think it's truly, utterly one of the stupidest things that we've undertaken as a medical community. I mean, we've had some other major fuck ups in our history as human beings, trying to treat conditions that, or trying to train ourselves and prepare ourselves for the unknown. Anything that can go wrong will, isn't that right? And so I think about, like, again, that one scene where just before the actual moon landing, and this is, of course, this is a true story, in which the alarm is going off, and they keep pressing, it was like the master reset or something like that, just to clear the code, right? Just to clear the OBD code, right? Okay, clear, restart, clear, restart, clear, restart, just to keep the craft going. And the decision was made to go manual instead of letting the computer do the work. And again, we're in a precarious situation right now with this infant that we're trying to teach how to be human, when in reality it's not human at all. And in the future, there will be a trial. There will be a trial of humanity versus the AI. I can see that happening. Because the problem is that, you know, people, we have a tendency, especially those who have access to the information, but they don't have media, they don't have literacy, or they don't have the cognitive capacity, quite frankly, because that's real, right? That's real. There's a geographical association with intelligence. But that's a racist thing to say, now isn't it, nigger? Afro man, I'm sorry if you see this and you see me saying nigger. But I hope you understand as to why I'm saying it. What more is there to say? You know? What more is there to say? That some people have such an investment in the chaos that they would cut off their nose to spite their face instead of picking up a hammer and hitting down a nail. Anyways, I got nothing else to say about this. It's all historical record. It was a very good production. Red Letter Media did a really good one about this. I think that they were very reserved in how they talked about it. You know, as if the review itself was a continuation of the message, the subtext that's being communicated through something like this, right? I think that First Man is a piece of propaganda? No, I don't. It's a historical drama. And I find that, well, that's a device that we've been using for a very long time, is to take a here and now issue and then superimpose those thoughts and feelings and those moments into a place in the past or somewhere in the future, of course. because we have that liberty to do so when it comes to the creative arts. And just like science, the question comes up, is that they thought so much of how, not a question, but a statement, that they thought so much of how to, they thought so much of how to do something, but they didn't spend any time thinking about spend as much time thinking about if they should do it at all. Now, was it the right choice to embark upon the space program? I don't think they had any choice at the time. The imminent threat of nuclear annihilation. That wove itself into the the mindset of boomers. I was trying to recall another word, but I fail to do so at this moment. And so that's something to really keep in mind, is that they didn't have a choice. We could have very well been speaking Russian right now, without a doubt in my mind. There was, in military history, there are a few moments where you have to make commands through shitting your pants. Or maybe they're more populous than I think they are. So when it comes to annihilation, nobody wants to see that, right? Because the worst solution is the one that works too well. So I got nothing else for this review. I don't know if anyone even is going to bother getting to 37 minutes of some aircraft mechanic with a babysitting dog. Anyways, don't let the world bring you down. Try not to concentrate on the distractions or the pitfalls that the lesser of us want to remind us of, right? Because don't ever argue with idiots. They'll bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. I think that's enough. We'll see you the next time that I do one of these. I don't know what movie it's going to be, but I hope you're there to share that with me. And come on, fuck phones.